Welcome, welcome, welcome to Awakening Potential Podcast, your gateway to the extraordinary. Today we're featuring Michelle Wand, who has mastered turning everyday moments into milestones of wisdom, being a visionary, conscious entrepreneur who develops real estate projects, serving investors and community. Anna Michelle embodies the transition of ordinary to extraordinary, making her a perfect guide for today's exploration. Join us as we delve into her transformational journey and glean insights to evaluate and elevate your own lives. Let's embark on this enlightening journey. Welcome, 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 Anna Michelle Wand. Great to have you here on Awakening Potential.
Great to be here, Karen. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's so cool. And you are in the beautiful place of Panama. I love your background, and it makes me want to like dive into the waters as well. Share with our audience, if you would, like, a brief bit of your journey of how you got to be from what was that one moment that just sparked your interest in becoming involved with real estate, and becoming an investor and developer.
Well, I started my journey as a single mom where I hadn't worked. I was a stay-at-home mom for 10 years.
Mhm.
And well, not quite 10 years, but when my kids were 8 and 9, I got divorced and I had to figure out what to do to support my children in the style that I wanted to put them in private school and such. So I needed to figure out a way to have good income. And I didn't start out in real estate. I wandered around looking for things to do, and I worked in a restaurant, and I, you know, uh, did some catering and things that I had skills for because I hadn't finished college. But I discovered real estate uh, kind of by accident because I wanted to buy a house. I owned a salon at the time, and I had good income, but I had no savings,
Mhm.
and I wanted to buy a house, and I had to borrow the down payment from my sister. And she was kind enough to lend it to me, and I put the money down in the house and I qualified for the loan. And I happened to find a house that was on the edge of the city of Boulder on an acre of ground.
Mm.
And I found out as well that if I annexed to the city of Boulder, I could divide that into 4 lots, quarter-acre lots, and hook up to all the city services.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Who would have thought, right? But that's really being resourceful and ingenuitive. And it's interesting, isn't it, how sometimes life throws us, as a single mom as well. I mean, I recall very vividly the same thing, like, what can I do and what can I do next to get resourceful and creative? So kudos to you. And Boulder is beautiful. So wow. So what was next for you?
Well, the light bulbs went on that, if I was to do this, make this house not just a place to live, but an investment as well, it would work in the future for me. So we lived in the house for 5 years, and I divided the lots up, joined the city, and I was able to sell the 3 lots, live in the house, and take the profits and pay my sister back and buy another piece of property. Well, having that kind of success kind of sold me on real estate investments from that point on as my retirement account or my education account for my kids and all the things I wanted to do that just normal income doesn't provide.
Beautiful.
So
Yeah.
I built up my real estate empire after that, one house at a time, doing that again, dividing the land and selling it and dividing it. And we eventually moved into a bigger house. Um, and then I got with groups of people and invested together, and we bought apartment buildings and duplexes and even a vacation home in Hawaii for 5 years.
Wow, sweet.
Yeah.
Love it.
And so that was the way that I was able to save up enough money to get started. I had this dream of living on a Caribbean island since I was 18 years old.
Beautiful. So obviously you have manifested where you are today on this beautiful island and beautiful paradise that you live in. So how does mindset, how would you explain to uh, somebody who's just starting out, the listening audience who might be just starting out, how a mindset relates to abundance? And if they wanted to start the same sort of conscious thinking to get
Yeah.
them to a higher realm.
Well, I have been into personal development for a long time, and I um, observed that when I was happier and positive about things, good things happened in my life. So I wanted to feel that way more of the time, and I, took courses and read books and did everything I could to embody those principles. I think the first course I took was Tony Robbins' Date with Destiny.
Yeah.
You he was big back then. He's even bigger now. Um, and a variety of things. I took psychology courses. I did somatic therapy, and of course, I worked with you uh, to develop these mindsets and have tools that when something in life tries to throw me off into a negative emotion that maybe brings up something from my childhood or whatever, someone else's negative energy, that I have a tool to bring me back to the present and know that everything's okay and connect to source and realize who I really am. And when I do that, I'm able to keep balanced and move forward with a positive attitude. And manifestations just naturally happen from that.
Beautiful, beautiful. And working with you was an absolute beauty, just watching more of your manifestation unfolding as you were unfolding. And I love the fact that you said, because like you, I mean, I've invested a lot in myself as well. Still have a coach, I still show up, I still invested because it never ends, right? The learning curve never ends. And once we learn to uh, acknowledge ourselves and get ourselves out of our own way, we get to manifest in place so much more. So, how did you overcome the obstacles relating to any of your success in business? Like, what were some of those key points?
Well, I remember one time, 2008, right? I was heavily invested in real estate and was actually planning a move back then to Panama, but hadn't done it yet. And Doug and I were together, and he was in real estate as well, and we both got hit pretty hard,
Yeah,
as everyone did in the 2008 crash. And
yeah,
part of it, I lost probably half of my retirement savings, and I had to give my big fancy house back to the bank. And at first, I was really devastated and thought, oh, my life is over. I'll never be able to retire.
mm,
I spent a little time lying on a couch, staring up at the ceiling and feeling sorry for myself, right? But
yeah,
you have to feel your feelings to move through them. And I knew that. So I just allowed myself to have, I guess, a little remorse that I didn't see this coming better, and do better. But then my resourcefulness kicked in, and I was able to say, this is really an opportunity. I think the universe is telling me something here. And instead of waiting 2 more years to move to Panama, we should just take what we've got left and go now. And that's exactly what we did. And my
yeah.
spirits lifted the moment I made that decision.
Love that. I love that because, for many people out there, they forget to look for the silver lining in the midst of all of the fog, so to speak, and the despair. It sounds like you really were able to look through it and say, wait a minute, let me look for what's possible here. And now look where you're at. And I'm asserting that life has treated you really well. Where are you at now?
Oh, I cannot say enough about life where I am at now. I wake up every morning and I look out at the ocean that's flowing, rippling towards me, and just remind me of all the abundance that I have and that I am.
Oh,
And I
yeah,
just feel happy.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. I had other things pulling on me back then too. My kids didn't want me to go. They were grown and on their own, but I was helping them with their business. So I had to also kind of have some deep conversations with them. And in the end, they did support my move and they are glad that I did it now. But back then, it wasn't so easy.
It's
So
not always easy, is it? Yeah. But one of the things I don't want to skip over it, because one of the things you were talking about with the abundance was gratitude. Without gratitude, we don't get to draw more of that into ourselves, towards ourselves, right? Like attracts like. When you want something, be grateful for it, no matter where you're at, because this way you're going to draw more, you're going to notice, more importantly, you're going to notice things to be grateful for around you, and everything expands from that thought. Which it sounds like it did from you, including your children showing up for you, right?
absolutely, absolutely. Yes, I totally agree with you, Karen. And gratitude is a daily practice for me. I make sure that when I wake up in the morning, um, that I either do a gratitude meditation or I spend a few minutes saying what I'm grateful for afterwards.
Mhm.
And then even during the day, I make sure that I notice where I'm at and I'm grateful for where, and like if I'm in the boat going to town, because we take a boat everywhere, we're on an island, and I just look around me and feel the wind in my hair and so grateful for the life that I've created.
Love
And
it.
I just, so things like that, just incorporating it and always saying grace before meals. So just trying to incorporate those habits into my daily life so that I'm basically grateful all the time.
Absolutely. That's key for myself as well. I live in a state of gratitude, and life shows up in that. And I can't imagine, I'm not attempting to envision what it's like to be living on an island. Do you have neighbors there, or
Oh,
is it just
I
secluded there?
have the best neighbors
Mhm.
too. We all have, I have like an acre of ground, and my neighbor to the right has even more than that, and my neighbor to the left has a couple of acres as well. So the houses are spaced, and we're all on the ocean, but
Mhm.
my house is the only one that's over the ocean on pier posts. The others are set up on the hill behind us. And my one neighbor is building an 8-room bed and breakfast that he plans to open with a little tiki bar with food. So I'll soon be able to go to a restaurant without taking a boat. We can walk.
Oh,
And
fun.
yeah, he also created a little beach there. There was a cove that had been eroded away, and he got permission to bring sand in and created a beautiful little cove beach there. So now I have my own beach right next door. And
Love that.
the neighbors are so nice that we're all busy, but we're going to have a picnic on that beach very soon next month.
Love that. I love, love, love. What I heard you say also in there was you're living a creative life, created life. I had a
Yeah.
whole program at one point that was called Life by Design, which is all about creating a created life, the life you love and the life you like. Speak a little bit more into that, if you would.
Well, this was really interesting because my neighbor on the other side, when we first moved here, was somebody that Doug didn't get along with at all. They didn't like each other. I don't know what the deal was, but there was this friction between them all the time, and it didn't feel good. But because I was in the real estate business and had my own franchise, when that guy put his house up for sale, I didn't really have a problem with him, although I didn't like how he treated my husband. I listed his house for sale and I was able to find a buyer for it. And I attracted these beautiful neighbors,
Love
new
that.
neighbors, and they have a yoga studio over there. So I can walk to do yoga classes now, about 2 minutes away.
Love it. You really attract it for sure. So what else would a life by design look like for you?
Well, I'm big on visioning, right? When I want to manifest something like my new project that I'm doing now, um, I create a plan for it, right? I see what I want to happen. I do research and find pictures and then envision those pictures in my brain and I make a strategy because I know what steps I have to take to make that happen.
Mhm.
And then I just start moving through that process of creating that vision that I'm holding in my head to a tangible result on the earth.
Mhm.
And every single time I've done that, it's happened for me.
Okay.
When I was younger, I think it was a little bit more unconscious, as I was learning, but it still happened. And then each time I learned from that, I would be more, oh, this is what works, this is doesn't, and I would, refine the plan.
Yeah, so cool because so many people, especially with The Secret coming out back in the day, it was like all I have to do is create a vision board and poof, it's going to happen. Well, no, you
Yeah.
take action. That was one thing that was neglected to be spoken in the movie. You really have to be in action. And I love the fact that you create a strategy plan first and then reverse engineer it and work into it such that you can have it and you can have anything you want by doing that. I love that.
Mhm.
So, yeah, thank you for
And
sharing that, for sure.
one thing I want to point out is that I didn't want to have a lot of stress and drama in my life, so I said I want to create this life with grace and ease. I don't want to have to work too hard or be stressed over how much money I have and things like that. So I also put that in my visualizations that I wanted to create this in a graceful way. And that has really happened for me where it's all about the inner game, right? The inner game.
Was
And if you love yourself enough, then it shows up as love in the world and you can spread that love and it's part of the abundance journey, right?
absolutely. Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, because it really is. As above, so below, right? So if you really want something, I remember um I remember going through um when I went through my divorce. And I remember being in a space of like, oh my God, I don't know what I want. I don't know what it's supposed to look like. And how am I going to manifest? And I had no idea. And all of a sudden it came to me intuitively. And I get the impression you're very intuitive as well. And once I started doing that, I felt pulled forward. It's almost like something has me by the neck, pulling me, saying, come on, you got this. Did you have that similar kind of experience as if like you knew, right? Well, when you know your why, right, the rest just falls into place. But this is like a pulling for me.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. That once I got clarity on what I wanted, um, there was then that pulling that you're talking about to move in that direction. And you remember the the movie Alice in Wonderland,
Yes,
the
yes.
story of Alice in Wonderland, and how she talks to the Cheshire Cat, and the Cheshire Cat, she says, "Where should I go?" And the Cheshire Cat says, "Well, where do you want to go?" And
Yeah,
Alice says, "I don't know." And he goes, "Well, then it doesn't matter which way you go," which just proves the point that you need to
exactly.
have an intention where you want to go to get there.
Exactly. What you focus on expands. So if you
Yeah,
focus on one direction, you're going to expand in that direction. But choose.
I have it on my fridge.
Love that. Love it. So if you were going to give our audience like one lesson, life lesson, one pearl of wisdom, one nugget, what would that be? That you,
Oh, I would have to say, and I'm going to kind of repeat a little bit, that it's an inner game and it starts with you. And the more you can focus on um, loving yourself and having confidence in your own abilities, the more that you can then express those things and your superpowers into the world. If you start there, I really don't think you can go wrong. The rest will sort of fall into place as you develop your inner power.
Mhm. Beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. So what's next for Anna and Michelle?
Well, what's next is I'm doing a live event this Sunday about
Mhm.
my newest project, and uh, I'm doing a development for elder housing, and I'm very excited about that and gathering my
Oh,
tribe and team around me to make it happen.
uh-huh.
And that's kind of next for me. And after my presentation, 2 weeks later, I fly to the United States to spend 6 weeks with my children and grandchildren on vacation.
How cool is that? Awesome, awesome, awesome. If the listening audience would love to get in touch with you, and all of your notes are going to be in the show notes, so if they want, your website and all that, what's the best way for them to reach out and get in touch with you?
I would say go to my website, which I think you have posted, and they can contact me there either by email or book an appointment for a free consultation. Um, and I'd be happy to get to know them.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, Anna Michelle, for taking your time and your energy on that beautiful day out there behind you. I want to be there with you in the sun.
You're welcome anytime, Karen. Plan a trip to Panama.
I would love to. We'll have to talk up at one point. But thank you so much for your contribution. It's been such a pleasure. And for the listening audience out there, uh, who are joining the Awakening Potential podcast, as you step back into the world, remember the bridge from ordinary into extraordinary is built with small steps of change and big leaps of faith.
Yeah.
So let today's insights from Anna Michelle be a guiding light as you navigate on your journey. And until next time, continue to awaken your potential and illuminate the extraordinary within. Stay inspired. Thank you.